The first time I saw him, he was sitting in the hallway of my house with his face covered by his hands, legs tucked up as if trying to flatten himself. I walked past him with a suitcase that was supposed to last 3 days but only lasted a couple of hours. I had missed my flight, and there was no point in waiting for another one since it wouldn't be until tomorrow. I missed the most important speakers at the conference. Might as well get home, which I did. I was already putting the key in the lock when the stranger looked up, his eyes red, bloodshot. I felt very uncomfortable. "Don't," was all he said. Don't go in there." I stared at him for a minute, trying to see if he was homeless, but he couldn't be. He was well-dressed, and his hair was neatly combed. A little long, but that seemed intentional. "Why not?" I asked. Just don't. "Do you need me to call someone?" I asked, trying not to sound alarmed. This guy was starting to freak me out. "No." "Okay then." I turned the lock, twisted the doorknob, and turned my life upside down. As I entered my apartment, I stopped on the spot, my heart hammering unevenly. "Oh my God!" a voice replied, a woman's voice. "So good, baby." Damien purred. I knew that voice. He was having sex with someone. Only it wasn't me, his fiancée. My stomach cramped, as if someone had driven me to a cliff and thrown me off the top, telling me to have fun on the way down. I walked out of the apartment, rolling my suitcase outside. I closed the front door and leaned against it, breathing heavily. "I told you not to go in there," the stranger said with a strained expression. He was crying. "Is that your girlfriend in there?" I asked, swallowing hard. Maybe I was going to cry too. "My wife," he said. "Wife, actually." That sucks," I said and slid to the floor, leaning my back against the front door. I didn't think I could take it. "Your husband?" he asked. "The groom," I said, sighing. "I'd have to cancel the wedding." "Lucky you. We're going to have to cancel the damn wedding, right?" "That's exactly how I feel right now," I snapped back. "Lucky you. Have you paid for the wedding yet?" he asked. I looked at him, at how stupid and annoying he looked, like Damien. Hair as black as night, eyes sparkling blue, and I wanted to explode. "Aha! This sucks," he said, and then looked at his hands, like he expected them to grow a mouth and tell him what to do. "Yeah. Ooh, Hudson. Like a river. Cut. Like an animal. Short for Catherine." "Wow, you're so good at guessing," I said sarcastically. "You're mean," he said, and I saw him smile slightly. I didn't want to smile, but a smile formed on my lips anyway. I smiled like a pathetic idiot. I smiled at this stranger whose wife was sleeping with my fiancé. "Not really," I said and laughed because it was such a lie. I was mean. I was an absolute __ sometimes. "It's okay," he said. "I like mean girls." "No one likes mean girls." "I do." Our eyes met. He didn't look as upset as he had when I'd first walked past him in the hallway, but it was still probably the worst day of his life. "How long have you two known each other?" I asked. He looked over me at the door. "A few days." "So you've had time to think things over?" Hudson shrugged and looked at his hands again. "I don't think I've had time to figure it out. I still don't know if I believe it." "Well, I've heard them," I said. "I'd start believing it if I were you." His eyebrows drew together. "I'm trying." I sighed. "I'm going to have to call so many vendors." Hudson nodded. "Do you think you'll get your money back?" "Maybe a little," I pondered. "But most of them have huge cancellation fees written into their contracts." "And when does that happen?" "In 4 months. May 20th. "Well, it should be easy with the florist. Those flowers haven't even grown yet." "That's a good point," I said, leaning my back against the door. "Maybe she'll take pity on me." "Yeah, maybe." I turned to look at Hudson. "Are you going to get a divorce?" He continued to stare at his hands, his gaze so intense that, for a minute, I imagined him as Superman with laser beams shooting from his eyes. He had dark hair, blue eyes, and broad shoulders, so he definitely looked appropriate. "Yeah," he said quietly.
"I'm sorry."
Those intense eyes glared at me. "Don't say that." I frowned. "Why?" I'm not allowed to feel a little sorry that my fiancé is a piece of... No, Hudson said. It's not your fault. I didn't say it was. Then don't apologize. Gee, I muttered. I'm just trying to show sympathy. He tilted his head to the side, looking at me with a look I couldn't understand. I'm sorry my wife is sleeping with your fiancé. My heart felt like it had just been squeezed hard. Okay, I get it, I said. I take that back. I'm not sorry. That's better for them both. That's better. I hugged my knees. What are you doing sitting here, Hudson? Do you want to catch her leaving the apartment? He shook his head. I just wanted to confirm my suspicions. I never had a plan. Then why are you still here? You're letting her ruin a beautiful day. Go for a walk. Clear your head. Get out of here and call a lawyer or something. I was going to leave, but then this woman named Kat showed up, and now I kind of want to find out what she's all about. My cheeks warmed slightly. She's really boring. His eyes traveled over to mine. I don't know. I think she's pretty interesting. You don't know that. You don't know anything about her. I know she's mean. That brought another smile to my face. Yeah, I guess she is. Hudson held my gaze and smiled back at me. Him. I wondered how someone could be stupid enough to cheat on him. He was sitting in a simple t-shirt and jeans, but he looked really, really damn good. The way he was tight in those clothes was, well, a little too good. The more we looked at each other, the more a blush bloomed on my cheeks. I wish we'd never had to meet like this, he said. Really? It's literally the worst way to meet a guy. He grinned, flashing beautiful teeth that had probably been adorned with braces a decade or two ago. How old are you? I asked. 34. How about you? 29. His gaze lingered on my face. What do you do, Kat? I work for an insurance company. Sounds boring. I snorted. You have no idea. I have a boring job too. Oh yeah? What do you do? I'm a librarian. I laughed. He stared at me again, completely serious. Wait, really? He nodded. Really? It's okay. Don't laugh, but it's pretty sexy. He laughed anyway. No. It's not. No, hear me out, I said. You're a sexy librarian. You think I'm sexy? I held back the urge to roll my eyes. Don't act like you don't know you're attractive. I don't, Kat. I was too busy looking at you. Okay. Smooth. A warmth crept up the back of my neck. Yeah. Bluntly, I said, yes, and please feel free to call me a pig if you want. But you're really, really sexy, Kat. You give off a sultry, mysterious aura. And your fiancé is a idiot. Thank you, I said, then added, pig. Hudson chuckled. I like you. I crawled over to him, leaving my suitcase by the door. Want to get drunk? I asked. Here. Why not? We don't have any alcohol. I'll go get some, I said, already making a move to get up. His hand reached out and wrapped around my wrist, gently pulling me back down. Don't, he said, and rose to his feet. I'll do it. Where's the alcohol? Is this such a good idea? I asked, looking up at him. Wouldn't you want to kill him? They deserve each other, he said coldly. There's a wine fridge in the kitchen, across from the dishwasher. I'll be right back, he said, and carefully opened the front door. A minute or so later, he returned with 2 bottles of wine. Why don't you have anything but wine? He asked, unscrewing the wrapper off one of them. He started to take off his shoe. Well, we only like wine, I guess, I said, looking at him wearily. Why are you taking your shoes off? Correction, he said, shoving the butt of the wine bottle into his shoe. A shoe, in the singular. I only need one to open a bottle of wine. I would have told you where the wine opener was, but you didn't, he said, and slammed the shoe against the wall. The cork popped out. Impressive, I said. He handed me the bottle of wine and took another. He did the same, uncorking it. Cheers. We clinked our bottles together and drank. He drank considerably longer than I did, red wine dripping down the corners of his mouth. When he was done, he had half the bottle down. You've got something? I said, pointing to his chin. He wiped it with the back of his palm and grinned in surprise. "Feeling better?" I asked, amused. "Yeah." He sighed and added, "No." Then he laughed. "I guess I need to drink as much as you do to be happy." "I'm not happy. I don't care." "Cat, you don't care that your wife is sleeping with my fiancé, do you?" I drank and drank and drank and drank until half the bottle was in my stomach. Then I said, "No, I don't think I care either, but I want revenge. How are we going to get back at them?" "I don't really know," he said, making a thoughtful face. "Came out pretty cute." "What does she hate?" "She hates it when I wear this shirt," he said, "and I didn't see anything wrong with that Star Wars t-shirt. Not exactly revenge in my opinion." "Yeah, well, it's not like we're going to ruin her day with a shirt," I said. "Let's do something terrible to even the score." It took a few seconds for his gaze to meet mine. His gaze was intense, almost disarming. I knew what he was going to. Before he even said it, the words still sent shivers running through my body. "You mean what they're doing right now?" Hudson and I quietly snuck into the apartment, standing in the hallway. "Is this a good idea?" I whispered. "No," he answered in a low voice and gently kissed me against the wall. As far as first kisses go, this one was unforgettable. He kissed me like I was the most desirable woman in the world, like I was everything he needed. His lips were warm and firm, and I couldn't help but smile, wrapping my arms around his neck as he led me into the apartment. I looked up at this stranger I barely knew. Hudson. I could feel his presence, powerful and commanding, like he was everything he represented, strong, confident. His body was built, his chest broad and firm. He was stunning, and I couldn't understand why anyone would cheat on someone like him. But for now, I had no complaints. He was mine to enjoy, at least for tonight. It didn't take long to undress, our movements quick and urgent. But this wasn't just about revenge. It was about wanting each other. "Do you have a condom?" I asked, hoping he did. "Yes," he replied, pulling a foil packet out of his wallet. "I'm not sure how long this has been in here." "Doesn't matter," I said, slightly breathless. He paused, trying to keep his composure, but I pulled him closer. "Hudson." A woman's voice called from the doorway. We turned around. A red-haired girl stood there, her wild curls a mess, wearing a robe, my robe. "Hello, Lydia," Hudson said casually. She stood there, mouth agape, while Damien appeared behind her in just his boxers. He barely had time to get dressed. His eyes widened when he saw me with Hudson. "Cat, what's going on?" Damien stammered. "The wedding's off," I said firmly. "We're done." "Wait a minute, Cat. Who's that?" Damien asked, pointing at Hudson. "My husband," Lydia said, still shocked. "You slept with him?" Hudson said coldly. "I don't think you have the right to question anything anymore." Lydia's eyes filled with tears. "Hudson, I can explain. Why don't you get out of my apartment instead?" I suggested, standing up. "And you too, Damien." "Wait, is that your husband?" Damien gestured at Hudson. Lydia wiped her tears and nodded. "Leave," I said, my tone firm. "Both of you. Now." "Cat." Damien tried to protest again, but Hudson interrupted. "You heard the lady. Get your stuff together and leave now." Damien looked taken aback, but Hudson stood tall and unflinching. It wasn't a fight Damien was prepared for. They quickly gathered their belongings and left. 3 minutes later, Hudson's wife and my fiancé were out the door. "I like it when you're assertive," Hudson said, smiling at me. I wrapped my arms around his neck, looked into his beautiful blue eyes, and found I liked it too. "Would it be too bold of me to ask for a repeat?" I asked playfully. "A repeat?" "Yes. We'll make it happen." Hudson laughed and kissed me. "As many times as you want, Cat." Just like that. We both smiled, knowing this wasn't about getting even. This was about us. We did it because we wanted to, because we could. Over the next few hours, I learned what a sexy librarian with the strength of a superhero could do, and I showed him that not all insurance agents are as uptight as they seem. When it was over, We looked into each other's eyes and realized something important. The end of one chapter was the beginning of a new one.